Hi, everyone, this is Dr. Catherine Kelly, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about regret. Now, most of us think of regret as a bad thing, and I actually try to encourage people to look at what they remember of the regrets that they have had in their life and turn that into something good. Now, I talk all the time about our evolution and basically how we are here to heal as well as evolve beyond where we were before. And one of the most primary ways to do that is to remember and to really kind of use the regrets that we have had in our lives as part of what instructs us moving forward. So, most of us think of regret as something that makes us very sad or very disappointed or or even repentant. So, in other words, we really, really, really have some deep remorse or regret over something. But the research is very clear that what we regret the most is the things we didn't do more than the things we did do. Now, I'm not saying we don't hold shame, we don't have guilt, we don't have other kinds of things that are related to our regrets, the things that we have done. But I want to talk through and help you understand a little bit about how regret is so completely and directly related to our soul's health. So, when we regret something, it is usually something that is, again, I talk a lot about the energetic imprints that are left on a soul when we have some sort of wounding or trauma. And this is the case for regret. When we go against our truth, and I talk about alignment all the time, when we do something that is misaligned with our truth, something that clearly is not lined up with what we are here to do, or basically how we are here to behave, how we are here to choose, when we go against that, we create regret. We go against that alignment. And that alignment can actually bruise us or wound us at a very deep level if we don't know how to get back on that alignment very quickly. Now, one way to use regret to our benefit is to remember past regrets and go, wow, I don't want to feel that again, or I don't want to go down that path again, or wow, see, when I did that, look what happened, because we want to use that to our advantage. Those discomforts that we have are cues from our soul to help us line up our life. So for me, regret is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tool to go back and go, wow, I do not want to feel that again, because really we remember the most of what we feel. And that's why emotion is so important as part of the human condition. You know, in my book Soul Health, I talk all about the idea that emotions are cues from our soul to help guide us through life. And the point of this is the whole idea that regret is such a deep sense. So we get such a deep kind of ongoing and almost unremovable kind of sense, deep, deep, deep in us when we have gone against our truth, when we have done something that we really know didn't line up. And oftentimes we knew it wouldn't line up, but we did it anyway. And then we become bruised or wounded in the long run. So when I talk about the stages of healing or the different levels of healing, I talk about intellectual healing. So we have to understand what caused the regret. We have to identify the feeling that is related to it. So whether it is shame or guilt or hurt or disappointment or any other emotion, we have to do that kind of identification of what that emotion is. But the deepest level of healing is to help remove the energetic impression that is left on our soul when we have that kind of wounding. Now, I talk a lot about how regret is basically the number one way we betray our own soul. And when I say betray, we go against it. We do something that is harmful. And many times, in fact, I can't tell you how many people have told me that they knew ahead of time they shouldn't have married the person they married. They shouldn't have dated that person, or they shouldn't have stayed with them that long. And then they have deep regret from that. And it's because somewhere deep down in them, they were basically trying to, their soul was trying to get them to see what that continued relationship would do to them if they stayed in it. Career choices or educational choices, you know, those are also very, very tied to regret. In other words, doing something that doesn't line up with who we are can create that intense regret later. And then what do we have to do? We have to go back and try to fix what we started. So, regret is such an important tool in guiding us moving forward that the second we sense, oh, I'm going to regret this, then that's our soul's way of saying, let's go the other way. I spend a lot of time working both with psychotherapy clients and soul healing clients, helping them resolve regret. And when I say resolve it, I help them remove the energetic imprint, but I also help them understand and release the emotion about it. I don't want them to forget what regret feels like. So the intellectual connection, I want them to keep, but I want to help them remove again, the emotional overlay that sticks with us when we have that regret, as well as that energetic, that deep, deep, deep wounding that we often have when we go against our soul. But I also try to teach them to learn to live in a moment in asking themselves, what would I regret more, doing this or this? And it helps to guide you so you line your life up. Using that gut reaction in terms of asking yourself a yes or no question. Is this the right way for me to go? Yes or no? And in your soul, your gut reaction will help line that up. It's when we go against that gut, it's when we really go against our truth that we create that deep, deep regret. Now, I'm going to give you a couple different examples of this now about personally. One of them is, years ago, probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, my financial planner called me and she said, I remember exactly where I was on the road when she called me. And she said, hey, Amazon stock is like 236. Do you want me to buy some for you? At the time, I was super stressed. I was super busy. I didn't feel like I had the extra cash to do it. And I told her no. Now stock is like $2,200 a stock. So it's like more than 10 times. And do I regret not paying for that back then? Yeah, sort of. It's more of like, wow, geez, if I only knew then. But really, it wasn't going against my truth to not buy that, because basically my truth was like, yeah, right now I don't really feel like I have the extra cash, and I don't have the time to understand all this and make a decision about that. So I wasn't really going against my truth. So at that point, was it a disappointment? Yeah, sort of. Was it a regret? Not really. Not really, because it wasn't something that was going to affect me deeply at that moment. Now, on the other hand, and I've said this story many times, that, I also know that, leading up to my marriage, I had more and more kind of gut reactions that something was wrong, something was wrong, something was wrong. I could not pinpoint what it was. And even the day of my wedding, there was a gut reaction that was telling me something's not right here. But everybody tells you you're just having cold feet. And so I went through with the marriage, and then very quickly started realizing, wow, okay, this was what my gut was trying to tell me. And so I won't go into the details, but I basically figured out, wow, okay, my gut was telling me this was not going to be a good thing. Now, do I regret that? Yes and no. I regret not knowing to listen to my gut, which I very, very much listen to my gut now with everything. But do I regret marrying him? No. And the reason that I say that is I now have a firm understanding and memory of what regret feels like and what my soul is trying to yell and scream at me for, so that I use that to guide me at really every moment from that day forward. Every moment I use my gut reaction to help me understand what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And so again, there's a difference between regret for little things and big things, but also that very first primary regret is there to teach you what it feels like to go against your truth. And I try to encourage people to really hone in on that. And yes, do the healing work around it, understand it, remove the emotional junk that's part of that. In other words, resolving shame or sadness or hurt or whatever it might be, and removing and releasing that energetic imprint, but all the while remembering what it is that regret feels like, so you can use that moving forward. It sounds so simple, because regret really is our best teacher. Our regret is really what helps us line up and help us understand what will line us up and what will misalign us. So it's just super important to start listening to how the human condition influences us and gives us messages, and how it's really our soul's voice that is trying to get our attention, how it works together with the human condition to help us line up. So I just want to give you this nudge and give you this awareness to start thinking back to some of your old regrets, tune into how that made you feel, and use that moving forward to help you make those decisions, because your soul is operating 1,000% of the time but our human condition oftentimes turns down the volume or muffles it so that we don't listen. Our head might try to talk us out of whatever our gut is telling us, but whenever we go against our gut, we will have regret. So use that to your advantage and really look back at your own life and how regret has informed you and how you can use it in a positive way moving forward throughout your evolution as well as throughout your coping and your healing process. I hope this was helpful for you today. Have a great day, and I'll be back soon.